Hello and welcome to another Purveyor of Light Photoshop quick tip. Today we're going to have a little bit of fun doing a composite. This was actually requested by a viewer. They had taken a couple shots that they really liked and they wanted to put them together in a composite. And they made it quite challenging, to be honest, because you're looking at the first photo right now, which is a photo. It is a nice rock formation in that, but was taken probably at 11 o'clock in the morning, if not noon. So it's in the worst, harshest light. And you ask me, well, what does he want to combine it with? Well, of course, he wants to have it combine it with a shot at night of the Milky Way. So we're going to have to take this Milky Way shot and combine it into a composite on this daytime shot. So it's going to be a bit of a challenge, but I think we can do it. So, all right. So first, like all my other projects, I will size things up. I'll get an idea in my head. Okay. And I'll say, okay. So let's start putting this thing together. As always, I'm going to click on the background layer and I'm going to hit Command and Control J. That's going to give me a duplicate copy. Turn off the bottom one. That's just for insurance purposes. If anything goes wrong or things like that, I have a recovery. So let's go to the Milky Way and take the Move tool. And we're going to click and drag into this photo. The warning's telling me that the color dips are different. Okay. And we've got the photo in here. And looks like we're going to have to do a little bit of work. I'm going to reduce the opacity so I can see what I'm doing when I place the photo over the other. So I'll just come in and drag it around and okay. Now, and guys know I'm a believer of the impossible. So my next move here is going to, I'm going to have to defy the laws of physics. I'm actually going to have to transform the Milky Ways and put it into my proper alignment, because you see how this tower here of rock is slightly slanted? I want my Milky Way to do the same instead of so much up and right and down. So with that layer selected, I'm going to hit Command and Control T, which is going to bring up the free transform. And I'm going to try. Now if I do this, it's getting wider than the opening. So I'm not liking that. All right, Command and Control T to start over again. And I'll go rotate it a little bit. And then reposition. And I'm thinking I like that symmetry a lot more. Okay. And I can't stretch out the canvas, because if I do that, it's going to make the Milky Way way too wide, way too long. And then I've really got to, really expand this puppy out to get it to cover the canvas. And that's just going to make the whole thing just, So I'm looking here, Command and Control 0. And again, it might work, but it's still, because it is so widened out now, it looks like now it's just not going to work this way. So I need to go another way around it. So I'm going to cancel that out. And I can see here, this is the shape that I want the Milky Way in. I'm going to have to expand the space and sky and stars, but not affecting the Milky Way. Okay, so I need more sky, but I don't want to mess with the Milky Way. All right, so I've got my ideas, and we're going back to the Milky Way shot. I know what I need to do. I am going to use the crop tool. All right, and I want to hold the shift key down and stay on the straight edge, and then I want to expand it just on the one side. Okay, so this way the Milky Way stays at its proper dimensions. So I'm going to hit OK, and I'm having checked content aware. I'm going to give Photoshop a chance to try to make up more sky for me. See how it does. Hit the checkbox. We wait for it. And Photoshop's thinking. So this may take a little bit depending on your computer. And okay, there we go. It's done a nice job. Good enough for my purposes. All right. So now that we've done that, I'm going to take this layer and throw this into the garbage. And now I'm going to remove this new image into the other one. So click and drag, put it in. Okay. Drop the opacity so I can see what I'm doing. Okay. Now this is much more workable. All right. Much more workable. Command or Control T, because I want to defy the law of physics and I want to change the universe. So I am going to okay, so you see I have plenty of sky here now, but I'm lacking a little piece which I'm not concerned about. Now I have the Milky Way in position. I'm going to give it just a little bit more rotation. Okay? You had no idea that I had such powers that I could actually rotate the galaxy, but I do have that ability thanks to Photoshop. All right, so I'm going to commit to those changes. And so now I have this at the proper orientation. I have it in the right position. Now I got a little blank area missing sky here. All right, not a big deal. I'm just going to turn around and take my healing brush, and I'm just going to say, hey, heal that up for me. And Photoshop, just like that, patches the missing information. So I think we're pretty good in the sky now. Okay, and I think the rest of it's going to be downhill from here. So I'm going to put this thing back to 100%, and we're ready to move on. All right, so now my next thing is I need to take the background and I need to make it believable that it's at nighttime when the Milky Way is out and visible. So we're going to need to do some adjustments on this one. So I'm going to go select the background layer. And the first thing I'm going to do is probably a levels adjustment. Now you can come up here and go to your levels adjustment. And you could do it by selecting levels. And now for this one here, if you're not familiar with it, this is your black point, this is your white point, and these are your midtones. Okay, these triangles down at the bottom, and these are the outputs. Using these three combinations, I'll be able to turn around and lighten and darken the photo. I'll be able to add contrast if I wish to, or take contrast away. So the first thing I need to do is I need to work with the white point, and I need to bring the white point in. All right, so That's looking pretty good. Now you see there, I turn it on and off, and you see I have actually brightened it. And you're saying, well, Lenny, you're brightening it. That's not what you need. You need to darken it. Don't worry about it. We're going to be working this because I want things to show up at nighttime. So now I'm going to work at the black point, and I'm going to move the black point in. And I'm doing this all by eye, and you can see I'm darkening the photo. And I'm thinking that's pretty good right there. And now the midpoint. Okay. Now what I've done is I've introduced some shadows. It's definitely a harsher contrast. And I want a harsher contrast because I want the structure to be visible even at night. Okay? And this will all come up and start making sense as we go. Okay, so for there, we're done. And remember, the way we're working, I can always come back by just double clicking and I can adjust it anytime I wish. So if I change my mind about how something looks, I can always come back and do that. Okay, so that takes care of that. My next step is going to be, well, I need to take the lightness and the brightness down. So I'm going to introduce another layer, and it's going to be the brightness and contrast. So I select that. And now I am going to drop the brightness. See? Pretty self-explanatory. And now we're bringing in the night. And that's not looking too bad. Okay. So I'm happy with taking the brightness down. And then the next thing we're going to need to do a photo filter. So I'm going to come up and do a photo filter in here. And again, right now, all I'm doing is I'm working my ideas. I may have to come back and make adjustments. And I'm going to put a warming filter on it. Okay. So 85 is usually pretty good. And we're going to take the strength way up. Okay. All the way up on that. And you can see what that did right there. Okay. That we now have a darkened thing and we have good. Okay. So that's not looking too bad. So now we've gotten it close, but not quite there yet. I may have to play with the settings, but I'm going to go ahead and put this thing back together so I can get a really idea on how this is really looking. Selecting the background layer again, I want to make a mask so that I can mask out the sky on this and replace it with the sky in the back. So I am going to see what Photoshop can do. I'll go up to select and let me try subject, see how that works. Photoshop is thinking and okay, it didn't do a very good job, so I'm going to Command and Control D to deselect. Let's try select the sky. See if that works. Sometimes that'll work better on the logarithm. Okay, and that did better. That did better. Okay. So now we have this, and I want to put this. Okay, let me see here. I just want to excuse me here because I'm doing this on the fly, so I just want to make sure everything is okay. Looks okay. So I am going to, yeah, I'm going to have to bring the selection in. Photoshop did a pretty good job, but it didn't do quite good enough. So I need to refine it. So I'm going to go to select and mask. Okay. And I'm going to hit that. And now it's going to let me see. And you can see it is jagged. And we do need to refine it a little bit. Smooth it out. Make it more harmonious. And I like to bite into the image just a little bit. It takes away any halos. So I'm just going to try to shift the edge. I don't know how much I want to shift into the edge. That's way too much. 30%. And I'm looking here on shifting the edge. I want to bite in just a little bit to it. Okay. That looks pretty good. Decontaminate the colors. And I'm going to use this as a selection and hit OK. And you see how I just bit in? If you look in right here, I bit into the image onto the rock formation. And that was deliberately. That's why I used the refine mask, because I don't want any halos or white auroras around the images here. Okay, so now that I've done that, I'm going to select my background layer, and with the selection still active, I'm going to hit the mask. Okay, and now I have a mask on the Milky Way. So when I activate the layer, I now have a nice mask. Now, the key thing is here is to make sure that you are really good. And you notice because I contracted the selection and cutting into the rock a little bit, it makes my selection just super clean. Okay, that's a little trick right there, is take your time on your masks and you'll be rewarded. Okay, you can see how clean, even at this resolution, we're at 300% right now on the image almost. And we have a beautifully clean image. Okay. And there we go. Now, this would be my taste in the photo. I would like to have the foreground. And, if I was shooting this in real life myself, it would have been, of course, painting with light on the rock faces and that. But I could most certainly darken this. See, I can come in and do a brightness and contrast. Remember, double click on it. And I can just drop it down to what I want the foreground to look like. Okay? It's totally up to taste. Okay? And that's looking pretty good. I can do the levels and adjust it. I can bring it in even darker. Okay. And again, that's why everything's an adjustment, so that I can come back and make these refinements as I'm looking at the whole image now. Now the photo filter is already at the max, right? I'm already at 100%, right? I can preserve luminosity, okay? Or I can have it go darker, and I want it to go darker. So I'm going to stay that, and I'm going to change the blend mode, okay? And I'll just watch what the blend modes do. so I can adjust. I'm liking the overlay. Soft light is not bad either. Okay, and now I'll just come back in and do some more adjustments. Go back onto the brightness thing, maybe bring it up a little bit. And again, it's all about playing with your taste. Okay, so I think that's looking pretty good. So as everybody knows, we came from this, and we are now this combined. And again, there's no wrong or right. This is subjective. This is artistic. This is where you get in and work with the things that you have, okay? And you do to your taste. I'm still deciding whether I want this foreground to be darker or not. I could put it into almost silhouette, completely silhouette if I want. But I think I'm going to call it, because I kind of like it. I kind of like it. And save this as a PSD and then walk away from it for a while. Okay? That's what I always do when I do my edits, is walk away from it and then come back and open the image and then decide, do I like it? Okay? Now, of course, before doing this tutorial, I had already done this. Okay? And I'm going to show you the final product here that was to my liking, to my edit. And this is what I wound up with. Okay? I darkened the foreground, almost put the tops of the rock formation into complete silhouette. And again, nothing's different about how I did it. It's just the adjustments. And that's a creative call. So there you go. Okay? We have taken from complete daylight, brought in the Milky Way. We convincingly changed the foreground to like it was shot at night, and put the two images together. We got a clean mask, so everything looks super. So there you go. Hopefully you found this interesting. The main point of this one here is, before you walk away, is everything was problem solving and creative, artistic, right? You saw me say, okay, I'm a daylight, so that made me have problems that I had to overcome. We did that by a series of adjustment layers. I turned around and took the shot of the Milky Way, and I was not happy with the way the Milky Way was angled in the frame. So I decided to change the angle. And that's the creative process. As artisans, we're allowed to do these things. And so I'm happy with it. Okay? So hopefully you found this useful. Hopefully you guys didn't go to sleep on me. Okay, till next week, you guys take care.